All Lions fans already know it's always Detroit versus everybody, and every time the Detroit Lions play an NFL football game, not only are they playing against the other team, but they are also playing against the refs. I've talked about the refs screwing over the Lions in past videos, but in this video I'm going to display every time the refs screwed over the Lions just from last season. Now some may think, man, you can't make a compilation of all the times the Lions got screwed over by the refs just from one season. Well, for the Lions, you can. And honestly, I feel like this past season was pretty bad. I feel like the refs fucked with the Lions a good amount, and it's not really highlighted how bad the refs were all season for the Lions. With that said, before I start the video, I want to set up a little comparison. If you aren't a Lions fan, think about your teams last season. Do you think your team last season got gypped by the refs? Do you think there was a lot of bad calls or controversial calls regarding your team last season? Just think about how many there were. And I want you to keep in mind how bad your team or not bad your team got screwed by the refs last season and how the Lions season compares to your team against the refs. Because I don't think people realize how bad every season is for the Lions against the refs, and last season was pretty bad and nobody really talks about it or realizes it. And comment below if you'd like to see me cover another team's last season against the refs, because some other teams had it rough as well. Starting out in week 1, Jalen Hurts is feeling the pressure on 1st and goal from the 6 and spikes the ball into the turf. This was a very blatant, obvious, intentional grounding that of course was not called, and after a Jalen Hurts run on 2nd and goal, the Eagles scored a touchdown on 3rd and goal. And the missed call isn't significant just because the Eagles scored a touchdown after or that it was a missed call, but the Lions also lost this game by only 3 points. If the refs make the right call there, the Lions maybe win this game. And after the game, the Lions coaching staff complained to the NFL, and the NFL admitted that the call was wrong. Now, if you don't know the rules for intentional grounding, the passer has to be out of the pocket and throw the ball past the line of scrimmage. And not only did Jalen Hurts never escape the pocket, but the ball didn't even make it past the line of scrimmage, and the refs called no intentional grounding. And what makes this botch call even more frustrating is that after the game, Campbell said he wanted to throw a challenge flag. He wanted to get that play reviewed, but you're not allowed to challenge those type of plays. You're not allowed to send those type of plays to review. Skip to after this season, the Lions proposed multiple rule changes, one of them being to review that type of play, and of course, none of them were accepted. They proposed for the rule change to expand the challenge system to allow for personal foul penalties. I honestly liked all 4 of the proposals, but none of them were even accepted. The only one that was even talked about was the one regarding the quarterbacks. It's just so frustrating that the NFL won't fix the replay system. Continuing with the Lions battle against the refs, we have week 7 in Dallas against the Cowboys. Now the final score of this game wasn't close like the Philadelphia game, as the Lions offense pooped their pants and turned the ball over like it was their job. But bad calls are still bad calls, and when they come from games where the Lions play the Cowboys or Packers, they sting a little extra. The first bad play was 2 no calls on 2 block in the backs on a 52-yard punt return from Turpin. The first one here is a little questionable. It might not be 100% a block in the back, but this one here is most definitely a blatant missed block in the back. And here's another angle of it. I just don't think it gets any more obvious than that. The next bad call from this game comes early in the 4th quarter. Jamal Williams is stopped behind the line of scrimmage and the play is whistled dead. However, that doesn't stop Sam Williams from continuing on his tackle and body slamming Williams into the ground. It's actually mind-blowing that there's no flag thrown on this play after the whistle is blown, body slamming a player. I mean, there's a chance you get a personal foul for just body slamming a player alone. Doing it after the whistle? I mean, come on. You can see Taylor Decker there signaling for the refs to throw a flag, and they don't. There was some other bad calls from this game, but I wasn't able to find them, most notably Aiden Hutchinson being held multiple times. No flags were thrown, but even without those 2 calls alone were pretty bad. Moving on to Thanksgiving against the Bills. This was one of my favorite games from this past season. It was extremely stressful and also heartbreaking. But I didn't even know that the refs sold this game and that this game should have went into overtime tied at 25. And just finding out about this now, I'm pissed. I want to make the point that if this would have happened against any other team, like the Chiefs for instance, then there would have been tons of coverage about how bad the refs sold this game. But that point may not be valid because there may have been a good amount of coverage on it and I just missed the coverage somehow. I don't know how I didn't know this happened. So let me know in a comment below, was it common knowledge that the refs sold this game and I just somehow missed it? Or was it just classic Lions disrespect, no media coverage as the refs sell once again for the other team? It's the play right before the Bills kick their game-winning field goal. Watch Brown right here totally have a blatant face mask on Mike Hughes. It doesn't get more blatant than that. There should have been a 15-yard penalty. Face mask on Brown. This moves the Bills back 15 yards, takes back Josh Allen's first down run. It moves them back over midfield. This game most likely goes into overtime if this is called. If the refs would have made the right call, called the face mask, the Bills have to use their timeout to stop the clock, stop the runoff. It moves them back over midfield. This game's going into overtime 100%. And now, before we get into the last game of the season, we have the Rams going up against the Seahawks. Now, I know this isn't a Lions game, but this definitely deserves to be in this video. If the Rams would have won this game, the Lions would have been in the playoffs instead of Seattle, and the refs definitely played their part in that. The Seahawks are down 16-13, 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. On 4th and 3, the Seahawks punt, and a Rams player is pushed into the kicker. He's pushed into the kicker. He doesn't run into the kicker. He's pushed into the kicker. The ref doesn't see the push and throws a flag for running into the kicker, which gives Seattle a first down to continue their drive, where Seattle runs 6 minutes off the clock and ties the game at 16. Game still tied at 16, 30 seconds left in the fourth quarter. Geno Smith escapes from the pocket upfield for a big gain and then runs into Jalen Ramsey out of bounds. Jalen Ramsey is flagged for a personal foul and the Seahawks pick up 15 extra yards on the play. The frustrating thing is that Jalen Ramsey is forced out of bounds and Geno Smith runs into Jalen Ramsey. Geno Smith makes no effort to avoid the collision with Jalen Ramsey. Jalen Ramsey lowers his shoulder to defend himself, and Geno Smith draws the foul. No flag should have been thrown on this play. Ramsey was forced into that situation as Metcalf was forcing him out of bounds, and the ref is right there. He can see all of this happening and still decides to throw a flag against the Rams. You could almost make an argument that Geno Smith should have been the one flagged for unnecessary roughness because he makes no effort in avoiding Ramsey, and Ramsey's almost considered defenseless as DK Metcalf pushes him out of bounds. However, Geno Smith is running at full speed and this is in slow motion. He doesn't have a whole lot of time to react. In my opinion, no flag should have been thrown whatsoever, but the ref sells and DK Metcalf, he made a good play forcing that collision. And then after the play, right in front of the ref, DK Metcalf pushes Ramsey's helmet. This is a blatant unnecessary roughness personal foul on DK Metcalf, and the ref throws no flag. Then in overtime, Quandre Diggs intercepts Baker Mayfield, then holds the ball out to the Rams sideline. Obviously, clearly a taunting penalty. The ref's right there, sees the whole thing, and no flag again is thrown. It's obvious that in this game, the refs made a lot of calls favoring the Seahawks in big moments, changing the outcome of this game. And what's weird is that later that night, the Packers-Lions game got even worse. The notorious Week 18 Lions-Packers game, Sunday night, Lambeau Field. The Packers win, they're in the playoffs. The Lions win, the Seahawks are in the playoffs, and the Packers go home. Now some speculation around this game. Apparently this game was only moved to Sunday night because if the Seahawks won, which they did, then the Lions would have quote unquote nothing to play for and they'd sell and let the Packers win and go to the playoffs. So I believe that some people think the officiating was just so bad in the Rams-Seahawks game and favoring the Seahawks was because they wanted to get the Packers into the playoffs, but I don't think that's the case. I just think it was just terrible officiating in that game. And then in this game, they were just favoring the Packers because they always favor the Packers, especially against the Lions. It's just classic. Starting out in this game, we just have some fun speculation. In this play, Kirby Joseph intercepts Aaron Rodgers and brings the ball deep into Packer territory, setting up the Lions with great field position. And as you can see, when this ball is thrown, there's no flag in the area, meaning this flag was thrown after the ball was thrown or after Kirby Joseph made the interception. A little fishy, judging by everything that's happened in the history of the Packers and Lions regarding the refs. And earlier in this game, Jameson Williams caught a 66-yard touchdown from Goff, and as you can see, there was no flag thrown when Goff threw this ball, and this play was also called back due to a penalty. I'm just speculating, but it's a little odd that in the Lions' 5 penalties, 2 of them brought back a huge play for the Lions. One a 65-yard touchdown and one bringing back an interception. That means 2 out of the 5 penalties brought back an insane play. Now, neither of them were bad calls. They were both penalties committed by the Lions on both of these plays, but you just can't help but wonder, you can't help but think that because the flag was thrown after the interception, after Jameson Williams caught the touchdown pass, that there was something going on. Because, you know, a ref doesn't always call everything. Sometimes there's not that bad of a foul and it's just kind of going both ways throughout the game. The ref just lets the guys play. So there's some speculation before I get into the bad calls. Halfway through the 4th quarter, Jarran Reed clotheslines DeAndre Swift when he is already downed. No reason for this whatsoever. Super dangerous play, as DeAndre Swift was injured because of this, and training staff had to come out and assist DeAndre Swift. No flag was thrown whatsoever. Then, while DeAndre Swift is being attended to, Quay Walker shoves a Lions trainer. Now, Quay Walker was flagged for this, but earlier in the season, he did the same thing, shoved a non-dressed player on the sidelines, this time against the Bills, and he was ejected from that game as well. Where the disrespect against the Lions comes into all this is Quay Walker was only fined $13,000 for shoving the Lions trainer and not fined for shoving the Bills trainer, while Jamal Williams was fined $18,000 after this game for doing his non-inappropriate dance he's been doing his whole career. He did it in Green Bay for years, never a problem with it. As soon as he goes to Detroit and does it, the NFL has a problem with it. It's just interesting. Quay Walker shoves 2 non-players in 2 different games and he has a total fine of $13,000, while Jamal Williams has been doing his dance his whole career and the NFL decides to shoot him 2 fines for over $30,000 combined. And you can also see here number 95, Devontae Wyatt, shouldered the Lions trainer, and he was not flagged for this, and the NFL took no action after the game to penalize him as well. And the NFL took no action after the game to penalize Jarran Reed, who could have seriously injured DeAndre Swift. I mean, come on. And it's also comical that Jamal Williams is being fined for this now after Shakira and Lopez literally twerked at the halftime show, and we all saw the things Rihanna was doing in the most recent halftime show. They can do all that, but when Jamal Williams shakes his hips in a circle, you can't do that. $18,000 fine. Anyway, that's the end of the video. That's all the times the Lions were taken down by the refs this season. It was quite a lot. It's crazy. I don't know how many other teams have had that many game-changing calls by the refs and them all being bad. If you want me to do another team's past season or the Lions another season or another team's other season, let me know in the comments, comment it below, and I appreciate you for watching my video. Please like and subscribe. It really helps me out a lot if you enjoy my content. And once again, thanks for watching. Fuck the